So in this video, I'm going to be explaining a germination chamber prototype I'm working on. The big difference in this one versus the others is I want lights in it for emergency, for like if the plants germinate and I don't get it to it soon enough, they won't get leggy and be ruined. So we're going to go over some of the details I got to this point in this prototype so far, and then to help others. After this is all the bugs are figured out and the frames are made, we'll make a complete detailed video series for you to build your own. So let me pause this. I have some notes here that I wanted to cover for you guys in this video. That I prefer to make the detailed video on the finished project, but I wanted to get info out sooner for do-it-yourselfers and for feedback ideas. On this one, I've chose to, you know what, let me pause it and I'm going to back up. So on this one, I've decided to make my own frame. And right now, it's just a bunch of styrofoam. 2-inch thick styrofoam boards, because that's really the working part of the box. The reinforcement and everything, I'm going to deal with those later. But first we're going to knock out all the bugs I can to figure out the details in this. But the 2-inch thick styrofoam works. It's working well for the insulative properties. So I chose not to use a freezer because I wanted the lights in the germination chamber, and then I have the 4-foot lights. Now, when it comes to the lights, I have a couple notes that I wanted to go over. On the top row, I have it lit up right now, and there's 4 fluorescent, the T5s, and they're too hot for that unit. Remember, this is like a big cooler, or it's very well insulated, so it was actually too hot even with fluorescence once it's closed up. But the cheap shop LED lights I got from Costco, they work better because they don't get so hot, and that set the second row of lights down. So the LEDs are the way to go inside the germination chamber. The humidifier, I wanted to make a couple comments on that. I'll pause it. We'll get a little. Okay, let's see. I'll put it right there to the humidifier. I have a couple of complaints I wanted to get to people's attention on. That is the humidifier. Here's what I wrote: humidifier too large of droplets gathered on bottom and puddled. So I laid tiles, old tiles, on the bottom, but it's kind of flooding out the bottom. I don't know if you can see the shiny spot right there. The particulate size of the mist is big enough that it's going up and it's falling down, it's making puddles. So what we're going to do is something a little different, and I ordered an ultrasonic mist maker. And I'm going to turn over here to my desk and I'm going to show you the one I ordered. Let me pause. So I'm pretty busy with everything going on right now. We're not editing this video. I'm just wanted to get the information out there. You have to bear with it. The next video, when this project is done, might not be for several months. We will edit it and put it together as a build series. Anyways, this is what I got, the new mist maker instead of the regular humidifier. It should be a much smaller particulate, and I wanted to put that there because that was the website. So anyways, I'm going to pause that. We're going to go to the next thing I wanted to go over with you guys. But this one also it's a much finer mist. I think it's going to make a fog in there, and it should get me uniform humidity quickly, and it's not going to leave the water everywhere and make a mess. I'm just putting this information out for public service. You can find other thermostats or humidifiers, but if you guys, to give you some leads for looking, there's the plug and play, the temperature controller, and it's ITC 308. It says the next other one on the right, which is blue, is a plug and play humidity controller. So you can just pause it on these things that I show you, and look on the internet for them. These were about $30 a piece, and that mister it was $29 delivered, so it was pretty reasonable. Okay, let me pause it, and then we're going to go to the next thing. If I can pause. Now this is exactly how you should not have all the wires angling and dangling, but I just wanted to show you the yellow thing right there. You see that's a GFCI breaker. You need to have that plugged into the wall if you don't have a GFCI breaker, because what that'll do, because you're working with moisture, electrics, if there's a short or something, it'll pop the breaker right there. You'll see there's a couple buttons. It's basically a circuit breaker just for your safety. They sell those at any hardware store is going to have a GFCI breaker. That's just one you'd use for a job site. This house is about 100 years old, and I don't know that there's a GFCI breaker on that outlet. In fact, I know there's not. So that's the next thing I wanted to go over, that you need some kind of a GFCI to plug into for your own safety. Okay, the next thing I wanted to go over for you guys is information, and this is important. And you'll have to maybe pause this video so you can get these. What this is doing is, okay, what's the example? Lettuce. These are the days it takes to germinate right here. These are the temperatures right here. So at 32 degrees, lettuce takes 49 days to germinate. But if we want to go to the shortest germination, which is the whole purpose of a chamber, let's go to 2.2 days to germinate at 77 degrees. Okay, so I will go over the whole thing, and this I pulled up on the internet because I thought that would be very helpful for you guys to know that they even make stuff like this. And then, yeah, right there, you probably want to pause it. I'll flip the other side too, and you can see that too, because it's 2 pages. The other page I like better, but this tells you, basically the optimum ranges. Most things it really was like 85, except a couple cool other things. So the previous page I showed you was probably better, but you can pause it on the previous page, and then you'll have that information for yourself, or find a germination recommended temperatures. Oh, here it is. It's out of the University of California. Okay, I'm going to pause it. We're going to go to the next thing on the germination. So I wanted to get this up and running as soon as possible because of the coronavirus thing, with like Home Depot, you cannot buy seeds. So for the public, the community, I wanted to be able to grow a little more seeds than I needed, so I can have plants for everybody available in the community. So basically, this is just 2-inch thick styrofoam board. I've got a couple other notes we're going to read. That this is a temporary prototype setup. When completed, I will have there's going to be an exterior reinforcement holding it together we'll need, and then for the door it'll be hinged doors. Right now it's one big door. It might be a double door. And then also I'm going to put this whole thing on casters outside so I can move it around with ease, because it's pretty big. I'm going to give you the dimensions in a minute. Let's go to the next page. Number 8 is, I'm going to just sit right here. I'm going to see if I can zoom in right here. You'll see a little fan there. Now that's a little fan. It's maybe 6 inches at the most. What that is doing, it's blowing up. Heat naturally goes up. So if I'm blowing air up, that's going to make the cool air go up, the hot air circulate down, and so it's going to give me a much more uniform temperature for my thermostat to read. Because the Inkbird thermostat, when it gets to whatever my targeted temperature below it, it kicks on. You also notice, I'm going to turn here, you'll see a crock pot on the right. That's actually a pretty small crock pot, but with this 2-inch thick styrofoam, that little crock pot heats this big old box more than adequately. It heats it up really good. So I wanted to make that note too. So that the crock pot, that little crock pot, is more than sufficient heat. Um, the other notes that I wanted to say is that I felt the lights were necessary safety precaution against leggy seedlings, because if you don't get them out of the germination in the light really quick, you can ruin your seedlings in a heartbeat. You get busy. So, the things that I'm worried about germinating really quick and getting leggy can go on the shelf where there's light. And then, but also, I'll just read the rest of this for you. It allows a little more time in the chamber for a more complete germination. The next note, let's see, what does it say? Oh yeah, the dimensions. Now these are going to be the interior dimensions. Let's see if I get it. Where's my finger? Okay, the height from the bottom to the top on this one that I did is 4 feet. Okay, and well, we're going to get to the shelving in a minute, but it's 4 foot high, and then the width. Okay, that's from right. Where's the finger? From left to the right side. That's going to be 5 feet width, and the depth is 2 foot 6 inch. That's from the front to the back. Is 2 foot 6 inch. Now the reason I chose those dimensions is because I'm using wire shelving. Now this is used in industry or restaurants that have them in their coolers. I got this shelving secondhand, so I paid, basically it was free. But the nice thing about the shelving is there's if you're not familiar with it, there's little inserts that go where the shelving things are that make this. Well, essentially the shelves can go up or down in 1 inch increments. I have there's 2 rows that are real close together, just big enough for the 10-20 trays. Above it, because of the lights, there's about 10 inches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and then at the very top there's another one. So there's 5 shelves. Each shelf is going to hold 4, 10, 20 trays. With the dimensions I have larger, it can go up to a 2.5 foot long tray in this unit. So I'm losing my thought. Oh, anyways, the trays in there is 4.5 feet wide and 2 foot in the depth. The chamber interior is 3 inches wider, or 3 inches distance in all directions, except the top. There's 6 inches there to allow room for a 10-20 tray, and 3 inches of room. Essentially, there's 3 inches of clearance all around it for the air to be able to circulate real easily. Okay, I'm already at 13 minutes. So I think that the tray stand is okay. I think that's pretty much everything I wanted to cover. You can make questions or suggestions. The questions, if I don't answer, I will use those for the finished video of the finished product. Okay, and then any suggestions on different components or features that could be going on. I tried to hit everything I could think of this. Some of these ideas I got from Steadfast at their course that Curtis Stone taught about a year ago I went to. But I didn't like the idea that with no lights, it was just too much of a problem. And I also did on this one, I put in porcelain or just old used tiles I had laid around in the bottom to make it a little stronger, because it's a styrofoam bottom. So as you're moving things around, you're not messing up the styrofoam. So, okay, I babbled for 14 minutes. We're going to call this goodbye-bye.